Little Ham says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks. Happy New Year and welcome back to 2025's first eTims podcast of the year. My name is Desi, and I am very glad to say that for now I have been welcomed by the man in the van, the Tarrier Carrier, Ralph Malf. Good evening, Ralph, and welcome.
Evening, how you doing?
Thank you very much. Great to hear from you, Ralph. Great to have you on first thing. I'm sorry, Hector is also here. I normally go to Hector first, but I'm in sheer shock that Ralph's managed to log in first tonight, Hector. Obviously, he started the new year with a new leaf, so God bless you, Ralph, and also good evening, Hector.
Good evening, gentlemen.
So thank you very much, gents. Thank you for joining. Monty C. Burns is somewhere no one knows. He's disappeared at the moment. He could be on a scouting mission. He could be away getting some big transfer news for us. Who knows? We'll find out maybe tonight, maybe on the next podcast. But for now, it's just the three of us. Thank you very much, as always, to everyone for listening. Apologies for the delay. We have had people actually demanding the podcast, shockeringly, and they weren't just family members. Hector always suspects it's just my family members who ask for podcasts. But the Sully Shamrock, for one, he does like the podcast when he goes to Stanislav, where he works every now and again. So he has been asking for some podcasts. So we're finally back in 2025. And the reason that we have not done a podcast since just before Christmas will become clear when we speak about a certain game, but we'll come to that soon enough. Right. So, Hector, what we like to do is go backwards before we go forwards.
Of course we do, yeah.
So again, thanks everyone for your kind comments. Congratulations again to everyone who were winners in the eTims Awards just before Christmas, especially Mr. P. Lyons and Mr. P. Lowell, the two big winners in the evening. But then, Hector, we had the Christmas break. Some of us, namely me, were away, so I never really caught many games bar sitting in a pub abroad. But we had Motherwell 4-0, St Johnstone 4-0, nice consistency. So that was a nice start. That was a nice way to end the year, Hector.
Yep. It was looking good, Desi, wasn't it? We had come through. It's always the case. Every December in Scotland, for whatever fucking reason, fixtures are just bonkers, aren't they? They don't even think about, why don't we have a couple of midweek games back when the weather's all right, maybe in August, when pitches are great, and we can maybe then have one or two less in December, and it's compounded more. Well, maybe come to this, compounded more the fact that January there's no winter break because of the Champions League, I think, really.
Yeah.
It's just 2 months of chaos. So we're somehow, we'll keep winning. But just keep winning, keep churning out victories. At times, performance in a couple of games wasn't 100%, but ultimately, rattling off 3 and 4-0 victories in the middle of winter wasn't bad. So we were sitting in a really good position. End of the year, Desi, I think we had only lost 2 games the whole calendar year. Was that right?
Yeah, I think it was. It was Hearts.
John beating Hearts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then we get the pumping bit with Dortmund, didn't we? But that was us. End of the year was pretty strong position, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a shame that your brother in arms Monty C. Burns isn't on tonight, Hector. So I'll try and make sure Ralph and I don't gang up on you. I know you can hold.
I'm looking forward to it, Desi. Fucking.
But Ralph, you have gradually, and congratulations, Ralph, also. One on Ralph has just received a new toilet, folks, so he's over the moon. He's finally got something to sit on.
Is he sitting on it just now, Desi, out of interest for a listener?
No, apparently his wife's still installing it. That's the sort of new man Ralph is. His wife install a toilet. And this is the sort of commentary you don't get on other Celtic podcasts, I'm willing to bet. But Ralph, well done in bringing the diary back. You've managed to get some time in bringing the eTims diary. So that is available for everyone at etims.net. So that's great to see, Ralph. But Ralph, over towards the end of December, even December, heading towards the new year, you were starting to come to what I like to call the realism camp. You were starting to question that maybe Celtic weren't firing on all cylinders. We'd had a conversation in the last pod, but I think you were starting to suspect it maybe. Well, I think one of your diary headlines were, "We're not as good as we think we are." Something along those lines.
There was a comment in that diary that somebody had said, I wish I could remember, BJF maybe, had said that all I'd done in the previous diary was say exactly what we were all thinking, that the Rangers would turn up and they'd get a good spanking, and the reality was it was us that got a good spanking, whether or not we underestimated them or whatever. And after the game, you're thinking, do you know what, we've got a few flaws, a few fundamental issues we need to deal with. If we're not pressing, if we're not moving the ball at pace, then we're going to get beaten. And I still am kind of worried that that'll carry on at the game against Young Boys and Aston Villa. There's kind of a balance somewhere that we need to address, that maybe we're not as good as we think we are, and maybe we think sometimes we just turn up and things will automatically happen. It's worrying, but when you look at it in context, it's not the biggest problem in the world to have, given where we are domestically at least.
Exactly right. No, so that is just before we came on air. I did ask Hector about this. What should we cover? Do we want to cover a game in depth, the Hun game in depth, or do we want to cover, which I find more interesting, the reaction? I happen to miss most of the game because I was travelling back from holiday. Right, so the game itself, Hector.
Yes.
I'm trying. Again, I'm not trying to phrase this negatively. I'm trying to question.
Well, it should be a negative.
No. What I'm going to say is, it was a case of, were we complacent, and did that seesaw of our complacency going down raise the enthusiasm of the Rangers team? Or was Brendan out fought by Clement, or did they just play the same way they always play, and we didn't turn up for some unknown reason, or is there a reason behind it?
I think for context, we'll go to get back to you're right, and I think Ralph said it, leading up to the game. When I say leading up, I don't mean half an hour before, I mean several days before it, leading up, because they again had dropped more points. Mirren had beaten them, hadn't they? Was it with a late goal to win 2-1 and beat them? So we're sitting in such a strong position. They had a couple more defensive injuries. The keeper, Butland, and Tavernier was out. Well, Tavernier's not a big miss against us, so obviously helps us a lot when he plays. But however, it wasn't just our fans who were going overboard. I'm just going to stick with the context with the fans first. It wasn't just our fans who were saying, we can go there and beat them 5-0. And this isn't one or two. This is probably the majority saying we can go and pump them. It was their fans. Their fans were online. Their fans, that people who are your own friends, your own family, people you know, were saying, we're going to get pumped here. So the context is everybody, including the Rangers guys and the media, thought they're going to get pumped. So we've got to go on to the game. But just for context, again, this is with us in our chat. I think one or two of us had said, by the way, just be very mindful that we're old enough to know, do you get into these games overconfident? There's one team who have been fucking slaughtered. They were slaughtered by their own. They were horrendous. They've got to fight as if their life depends on it, right? And I think that's what happened. They came out and thought, we must win today. They went into everything. They won every first ball, Desi. They won every second ball against us. So that was their side. Our side, we had no fight. I think we turned up with the mindset, I say we, I mean the players, they're only human, they're online, they're seeing things that we see. If anybody says that is talk shite, I think they turned up, just turn up and we win the day. And I wonder if that, and we're only guessing here, if that's the coaching staff, the manager, the players thought, they're in fucking disarray. We turn up, we're going to win the day. And we all know football doesn't work like that. It starts with hard work and attitude. And I think they treated it as if it was their final of all finals, and we never kicked the ball. It was the fact that there was not just first and second to everything. Our basic passing, like Rio Hatate and Scales, the first half in particular, were appalling. Passed about a play, 10-yard pass they couldn't do. And you thought, what's going on here? It was just so, I would actually say it was worse than the game in Dortmund, I'm being honest with you. That's how bad it was. It was really that poor. And then the second half we started, maybe the first 5 minutes of the second half, I thought, oh, here we go. Kyogo get an offside goal, didn't he? That, real time was a goal. and he flicked it over, and that was it. We thought we'd kick on. In fact, the opposite happened. We didn't kick on. So it was a strange one. We deserved every bit of criticism because we praised the team, praised likes of myself, I think rightly so, for all the great results. We deserved every bit of criticism we got after that game. And in many ways, it was a bit of a reality check. Maybe perfect timing with the big game against Young Boys coming up. Maybe it was actually something like working in our favour, just a wee touch, just getting that reality check before that game.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And again, I'd been making notes the whole sign of true champions, no winning all the time. It's getting up when you're being knocked down, and the Green Brigade have had that tifo in the past, etc. But Ralph, this in the game itself, from watching it, have you any thoughts on why we never turned up? Like, again, because as Hector mentioned, we did have quite a bit of correspondence in the week leading up, and I was particularly annoyed that all the focus, all the stuff you got for Brendan Rodgers was talking about how great we'd been the year before. No, that sort of way. It wasn't like, forget that, we look at the next year. And I'm not having a go at Brendan Rodgers. Just like the way I think the media planted a lovely seed of this helping Celtic feel complacent and look how great yous are. No, that way, lauding how great a team you are, without forgetting you've got a really big game. As Hector mentioned, that whole hunger thing, they had to turn up. And we kind of took our eye off the ball a wee bit from my perspective. I never saw the game itself. What about you?
I think a lot's been made about how well they played and how badly we played. But you also need to remember it was January the 2nd. And there may well have been a few of our players and possibly staff involved in festive celebrations. And it might, well, I'm not saying that there was, but I'm saying it's possible, because you always see, if you're a betting man, you'll not put money on a favourite over Christmas and over the New Year period. And it might have just been, well, they're not very good, we'll be all right. But that comes down to complacency. It comes down to maybe not taking it seriously, because, well, we lost the game, but we were still way out in front. But what was kind of worrying was boys like Scales that will always play his heart out, just not connecting with the passes. Hatate, sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But the rest of them just look like they'd kind of given up, which I'm hoping it's the only time we'll see that this year, and it's only January. It didn't seem like they turned up and they thought, well, it doesn't matter. And I'm hoping they get their asses kicked. And on a bigger scale, I think the whole team maybe sat there. I think we all get our asses kicked that day. And like I said earlier, hopefully it'll not happen again.
I think it's right. It was complacency. It was complacency, right? I think we can't speak for the players and coaching staff. We can only base it on what we've seen. And it just looked like on field represented us. I say us, the wider us, off the field. Turn up. This is a fucking shoot you. And they're in disarray, which they were. Let's be honest, which they are. Which they were, which they are. Right.
Consistency. That's what we're looking for in football.
But we're just so poor, and I think it was attitude. I think we turned up thinking, yeah, we're going to win today. But you've got to remember, you've got to turn up and put the graft in for the first whistle, and that just wasn't there. And it's not about launching into 50-50 challenges. Football's changed. It's about going touch tight, working hard, sprinting for the second ball. And there's a total disconnect. And it was weird. We started really well the first 5 minutes, the first half. See, the kickoff. We had 3 or 4 corners and I thought we're in. And we started really well the first 5 minutes of the second half. I see the rest of the game, we were shite. They fully deserved, 3-0, if anything, probably flattered us, right? They fully deserved to win. And I'm wondering whether sometimes, you've got to get that. You've got to get that defeat just to reset expectations and also reset where you are as a team, particularly for the team and the manager, but also us as fans as well. So there might be something as a positive you take out of it, is that the big game of this month was always Young Boys, because we're so far in front in the league. Let's be honest, we were so far in front, right? They were never going to win the rest of their games, 22 games. That just wasn't going to happen. And it might just be that we got that kick up the arse that we needed just before this big game. It's next week, isn't it? Or Dundee this week.
Yeah.
It's Young Boys next week, isn't it?
Yeah. It would be nice to think they've done us a favour.
Yeah, ultimately, we'll come to that in a second, but I just want to stay on this game because now we're at the reaction point, right? And that's where I started to jump in. And I didn't really see the game, but I like to always contribute in our WhatsApp. And Ralph and I were in one camp. Monty, to be fair to him, was playing I think they've all got a sickness bug. God bless him. He always tries to see the silver lining there. He was going doing the sickness bug, and I was pointing out that this has happened before. Remember Cal Mack playing left back, etc.
Yeah.
But we weren't for it. Hector, ever since the young man's came along, you've become a mellowed soul, as James at behind me at Celtic Park said. I mean this in a good way. You took the measured, mature approach of saying, lads, steady the buffs. This could be a good thing. These things happen. Let's not overreact. And that's realistically why we didn't have a reactionary podcast. Let's be honest to everyone.
Which is what you wanted, Desi. You wanted me to go
I
wasn't taking the bait.
I'll let everyone know. If you search on ETIM's website, you'll find me and Ralph's secret podcast, Fuck Hector. You'll find it if you search for it, you'll find it out there. It's a 15-minute rant from me and Ralph. No, but one of the things, Hector, especially you being the tactician, and Ralph maybe being joy, it was the fact that a lot of people couldn't understand how this happened, and particularly in the fact that it happened by Rangers playing the exact same way as they played in the League Cup final. It wasn't a shock that they played that high press and that forceful football. So it was like, how does that happen? Surely Brendan Rodgers knew that. We all knew that was coming. Everybody knew that was coming. How did Brendan Rodgers' team be able to play to that? That was the big mystery, I think, that really confused.
And we're all amateurs, right? And we can have guesses, and we can have but only him and the coaching staff can answer that, because going back to the League Cup final, first half of the non-event until we made a mistake. Taylor made a mistake, as we know, was it 10 minutes before half time. Then they leading up to half time, they get a wee bit of momentum for 10 minutes. Second half, after they had the 4v1 that Carter Vickers got us out of a hole, we then, I thought, were the better team to 90 minutes. Then an extra time, we all spoke at the time, an extra time only as we're trying to win it. They were wasting time and fucking rolling about, injured, nothing wrong with them. So we actually finished it, contrary to popular belief, because all the focus they had was on the penalty they never got, when not one of them complained about Tierney, right? But we were by far the better team the longer the game went on. So it's all guesswork, Desi. I'm just wondering whether the prep had been, look, with the terrible first half, they were slightly better in the first half at Hampden. After that, and all the way into extra time, we dominated. I wonder if they thought, we know, just do that again, and we've got their measure. Because remember, if Rodgers has only lost once in 20 games and Clement's never beaten us up until that, you've kind of got the measure of them, right? And I'm wondering whether they just thought, look, tried and tested, keep it going, and we'll eventually wear them down. It's all guesswork, but that's what I can suggest.
Yeah. Ralph, do you think the no Celtic fans at Ibrox made any difference to the actual play on the day?
It's quite possible that one or two players were affected by it. But again, when you start going down that path, you're maybe looking for excuses.
Yep.
And I think we just really gave up. I don't think it was because there was a lot of pressure, etc. But there was a wee bit towards the end when Engels got the coin thrown at him, which is kind of par for the course when you go to Ibrox. But nothing's been done about it. It's been a couple of weeks now. Nothing's been said. It's been kind of glossed over because they've got other problems or we've got other problems. But realistically, somebody needs to sit down and deal with that.
Right. So,
wait, now there was a thing.
But where we have you here, Ralph? Where we have you here, Ralph? And we're talking about police action, Scotland, etc. Did you ever get a full follow up to that big investigation about the Janefield Street charge? Remember that famous? We did about 6 podcasts covering that.
We did all sorts. We sent stuff off to them.
That just disappeared. That fell down the side of a couch at SFA headquarters and never to be spoke about again. But then again, Ralph, right, well, we're on this. But at which point So who amongst the fans are meant to actually push the board to ensure that the team and the staff and everybody's protected from that? Like Arnie Engels afterwards in the press conference saying to the journalists, I thought it was brilliant the way he addressed the journalists, like, you don't turn up for your work and expect to be struck by missiles at your work. I mean, he's a professional footballer, gone to his work, and like, let's be honest, we all know like Celtic fans aren't exactly pure innocence.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, these things happen, but it is a bit much, especially when you're winning 3-0.
Don't forget there was a coin thrown at the dugout as well, or something thrown at the dugout. And I just seen today that a game with Bochum, I can't remember who they were playing, but they've ordered a reversal of the result because a cigarette lighter hit one of the players. I'm not sure which one. But if that was to be made a rule, then would it not put a stop to it?
But I would just say that just I'll be very quick on this, I promise, but there's two things at play here. One's the game, the on-field game. We were shite on the day. That's to cut to the chase. We were shite. They fully deserved their victory, right? But two, there's now a pattern to objects, missiles being thrown at Ibrox, right? Yeah. Ralph was right there. It wasn't just Engels. I actually hit him an inch or two above his eye, right above his eye, right? Rogers said missiles thrown at him as well on the day. The last couple of times at Ibrox, was it Joe Hart had all the glass and that in his goal mouth?
That's right.
One of the goals. Yeah. The Celtic coach was hitting head with a bottle, had his head smashed bottom. Then was it a dart thrown at Lee Griffiths a few years ago?
Yeah, and batteries and all.
Batteries, sorry.
Heavy batteries.
Then one of their fans was on the field and was squaring up to Scott Brown a few years. So we've now got a pattern. There's a catalogue of events here where even when they're winning thrashing us 3-0 with 5 minutes to go, they're still doing it. So let's judge it two different things. One, on the field, they have to pump us, but the behaviour, it's just not right. And Celtic saying nothing's no good enough. It's just not good enough because they've got a duty to protect their staff and publicly defend their staff, and they say fucking nothing as ever. Nothing.
Not only that, if it happened in a European game, they would close the place down. As simple as that, regardless of the result. And it's the repetition. It's every time we play against them. If they'd had a bad run in Europe and they'd played their 4 home games, and the first time somebody got something chucked at, and the second time, the third time, they wouldn't get a fourth time. So while Celtic should be saying something, it's also the SFA, because they've got a duty of care to everybody in the league, not just Celtic players. I'd be interested to know if it had happened to other teams. That's probably not happened because nobody cares who they play apart from us. Their support, that is.
Yeah, but it's interesting also what happens the next time if they say 2025, 26, if they actually do agree to let 700, 800 fans back in. Celtic have put up that barrier at their end. Are they going to start? Are they going to have that at Rangers?
It's going to be 2,500. The next games. The next game at Celtic Park. Celtic's done there, but I think they're both agreed on 5% of each other's capacity. So we've got ours ready. They're going to get round about 3,000 supporters, which is the normal kind of European away support section, right? And we go there because they've got a small stadium. I think we're getting 2,500. So it's meant to be the next domestic games coming up in the next 3 or 4 months when it's happening.
Would you want to go and sit in the bottom of the Coltland Road with that lot behind you?
That's why the nets were up, Rob. That's why they put these nets up. Did somebody know say that when they played Spurs recently, they put them up at Ibrox? They put up the nets for the Spurs game. So we'll soon find out. Well, they're playing Aberdeen this week, aren't they? That's usually a tasting game, isn't it, between them and Aberdeen? So interesting to see if they
next week, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. So that was January 2nd. The whole world collapsed. Measured-minded men like Hector were saying, steady the bus. Everything's going to be all right.
At your age, I think was the term I used, Desi. At your age, gentlemen, not your shoe size.
I think it was, yeah. Brendan started to lose the plot a wee bit. He seemed to be losing a bit of patience with the fans' impatience, but we'll gloss over that.
He was defending your favourite, Desi. He was defending your favourite. Come on.
Listen, I can't help it. So again, well, that brings. I've got the Kieran the question mark. Hector, you'd been in contact with Rui Miller, and apparently the deal is done. Do you believe? Is that correct?
It's done, Desi. Yeah, all done is what we're led to believe. He's at minimum on a Bosman. He's coming back, significantly reduced wages. He's made his fortune elsewhere, and he's coming back in a free transfer. Something that we've all moaned about for a long time. We don't take advantage of, isn't it? As I think Joe Ledley was the last kind of proper Bosman we signed. So yeah, and I think they're trying to get him in for the last couple of months of the season on loan from Arsenal. Whether that happens or not, we don't know. But yeah, apparently it's a done deal.
Yeah,
I can. Tierney as well, because the queues at the NHS in England are ridiculous. You'll be waiting months for treatment, but if he goes up to Scotland, he'll get looked after and maybe get his hip back or his leg.
I think it was quite funny. It was quite funny that some of the Celtic fans were singing Tierney's name, and at the end of it, Brendan Taylor went up the tunnel. Was apparently a bit down. Rogers,
he'd a burst nose, wouldn't he? He turned his nose in the game.
Rogers put in a wee bit, and he thought, look, he's got to defend his player. He came out, he kind of, the old Glasgow term, starting a fight in an empty house. He sort of did that, didn't he? And then what I thought was brilliant about it though was the next home game was the Green Brigade then sung about 40 songs, right? About Henrik Larsson, Tommy Burns, even Stuart Armstrong.
Jan Venegura,
and then Brendan was asked in the post-match conference, and he burst out laughing. He went as if to say, you know what I mean, fair dues. That was, they got me. Brilliant. They got me right.
Well, and I did like that because again, like the media, Ralph, were trying to even see if they could get a wee rise up and be going, what were they fans tonight? And as Hector said there, Ralph, he just cannot why when you know you're beat, you're not going to beat them for humour. He just kind of went, the fans were great tonight. I think everyone bar the kit man got a song. And that's ridiculous. The kit man's not got a song. Surely John Clark should have a song these days. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it's all about. You go to the fit and you're supposed to have a laugh. You're supposed to have fun. And I think do you mind way back when we played, I think it was maybe Boa Vista in the semi-final, 2003. Yeah. And O'Neill came out afterwards and had a right go at the supporters. Look, when we want to play the ball back, we were trying to win this game and so on and so forth. And then in the game again, apparently we were all ignorant. We didn't know what we were talking about. And then in the final, when obviously Porto were diving about and everything else, O'Neill came out and he says, well, you need to listen to Celtic supporters because they know what they're talking about. And you think, Jesus.
He was a man of contradictions, Martin, but we love him, right? See with Brendan, what I would say is, I don't think anything, we all know he's fucking chocolatey himself, right? We all know that. And there's no Celtic fan that doesn't know that about him, so we can laugh a bit at his ego, right? But we mentioned last year, with him and his ego, he's not the same manager. Remember, he was too fucking quiet last year, and we can notice it. Knew he's back to being Brendan. The boys are out, innit? The boys are out big style. I've got the 3 trophies. I've got a chance to knock out the champ. So he's being Brendan. What I'm getting at is, I think almost everything he does is premeditated and calculated. So I think him doing that, he thought about that, and I'm wondering 2 parts. Maybe it was just after we get pumped at Ibrox to take a wee bit of the heat off of that. But 2, but maybe the second thing was to galvanise everyone with the big game coming up next week with Young Boys. I genuinely think it's about right. Let's cause a wee stooshy. Let's bring it back together again and let's go forward. Because everything is calculated. Everything he does is fucking calculated, right?
Right. Okay. So I agree with you. Totally agree with you. Brendan calculated can control. Brendan can control what he can control. But in this great, wonderful universe of ours, there are certain factors that no one seems to be able to control, and that is Rangers away, right? So January 2nd, it's Rangers annihilation. I'm going to keep using that word because I keep hearing it every time somebody phones in Radio Clyde Super Scoreboard, and it makes me laugh. Rangers annihilation of Celtic. And then we go and play St Mirren, win 3-0. Rangers have to go and play Hibs, and immediately Ralph go 2-0 up within 20 minutes, and apparently they were playing some of the best football. I can't remember if it was Billy Dodds or Neil McCann. One of them there, and they said how it was the best football they'd seen all season, and they were thinking that what's this score going to be? Martin Boyle decides, fuck this, and then before you know it, it's Hibs scoring equaliser in the last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes. I'm not sure the timing of their goal, if it was even an extra time, but Rangers go for gubbing Celtic, Ralph, 3-0 to drawing 3 each with Hibs away. So that's the classic roller coaster, the Rangers roller coaster, Ralph, that we've all came to know and love.
On the one hand, you've got Celtic that could be accused of maybe not taking the game against them seriously. And on the other hand, you've got the plucky newcomers thinking, right, we've reached the top of the mountain now, we can deal with anything. And they're not taking anybody else seriously. It's like their whole season, well, their whole existence is kind of based around us. Everything they do as a club, everything they do as a culture is based around us. And when it comes up to other teams, and you can't underestimate Hibernian. They're kind of the form team. And they underestimated them, perhaps the same way we underestimated Rangers.
Yep. So this when we laughed at that, Hector. We go and play Dundee United, win 2-0 against Dundee United, and Rangers have to go and play Dundee, the good Celtic man, Tony Docherty's Dundee, up the road on a cold night in Dundee, and sure enough, Dundee went up the park, Hector, and score. And Celtic, you could just hear the collective laugh with Celtic fans. How can you go for such? I mean, it must be like being a junkie. Let's go. You're for the East End. You would know what this. It must be like being a junkie. You get your fix, and then you've got to come crashing down to earth.
But Desi, you get some successful junkies, though, right? To be fair, right? Who end up making millions of pounds. The thing is, I never seen the first half of their game at Dundee, so I just knew it was one each at half time. But what I would say is, again, there's a pattern with them. Everybody's talking about their away record domestically and how rubbish they are, which is a fact. All the evidence is staring you in the face. But it's how they play football. What suits Clement and how they play. And we've mentioned this in previous podcasts. They don't want to be the team the onus is on to go and win a game. They want to be the team that's almost a counter-attacking team. Look at their best performances this season. Beating us at Ibrox 3-0. The League Cup, even though we beat them, the League Cup final was the closest ran us up until that point. Europe, they should have beat Spurs. No, Spurs haven't been great this season, but they should have beat Spurs. Did they win 4-0 away to, who was the friend? Was it Lyon or Marseille? I can't remember. They won 4-0 away, didn't they? So, no, was it non? I can't remember what fucking team it was. But anyway, Nice, I'll get there in the end. I think it was Nice, right? But the point is, whenever they can play their counter-attacking game with other teams at the bulk of possession, right, it suits them. Where they struggle is having to go and dominate a team and create chances. They've not got the ability to go and do that. They want to play off mistakes and counter-attack. And against us, did it really well the last game successfully, beat us easily. And I'm just wondering whether that's the crux of it. They just can't. They've not got the ability to go and beat teams and take it to teams and beat them consistently. They've not got the quality to do it. And I'm wondering. And the second thing is the pressure. We kind of almost take for granted now, and it's hard not to. Celtic with Brendan the last 2 years, with Ange the previous 2 years, the consistency in winning almost every game, we kind of take it for granted, but it's not easy. And I think that's the pressure of having that expectation with them. I think a lot of their players just can't cope. And the manager certainly can't cope because he's just fucking wired to the moon, isn't he, with his comments?
That poor man's currently in the desert. Did you hear his latest one? I feel like I'm in the desert. So I'm wandering in the desert like Jesus for 40 days. He's in the desert. It's made me laugh. Yeah, and it was Nice, Hector, you're right. It was Nice. 4-1 against Nice.
Was he eating the desert, Desi? Was it?
God only, poor Phil. He's only, but again, Phil has got the dreaded vote of confidence from the Rangers board, so we should all be happy about that. Clearly, afford to sack him, so they've had to back him. Luckily, he's got 3 home games. He's just beat St Johnstone, who apparently had kamikaze tactics, according to Billy Dodds, but still managed to score a goal on the 55th minute, which will come to soon. And then they play Fraserburgh, but they've got Aberdeen this week. Sadly, there's no Scott Brown. Remember the last time Scott Brown scored for Aberdeen at Ibrox? That would be quite funny. And also noticed the player I've been touting for a while from Aberdeen, Jack McKenzie, wasn't in the squad at the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up anywhere over this window, because he's available in a pre-contract.
Maybe going to Ibrox, Desi.
Well, that's what they were trying to suggest. I honestly think we could have done a lot worse. But if you're getting Tierney, fair enough. It will be interesting to see what happens with Greg Taylor if the board do go back and offer him an extra whatever a week. Because clearly at the moment they're not offering him enough.
If you're in Taylor's shoes, right? If you're in Taylor's shoes, right? And let's read between the lines a bit here. So Rodgers is publicly many times made it clear he wants him to stay. He wants to keep him, right? And I've no two ways about it. That's a fact. And Taylor knows that. Taylor also knows he's going to have a contract in a few months. This is his last big payday as a pro, right? And he's also aware that Tierney's coming back. So he's thinking, I've been a first team starter pretty much now for the past, 3 or 4 years now. But all of us are thinking the same thing here. Tierney's game time will have to be managed really well. There ain't no way he's going to be playing 2-3 games a week.
No.
If you're in Greg Taylor's shoes, you're thinking, I might get 25 to 30 games a season here. Is that no a good thing? With a good wage, guaranteed game time, but I'm no first pick if he's obviously fit and available, which based on his recent history record, there might be a risk that he won't be. I'm just struggling with it a wee bit. I'm just wondering why he wouldn't want to stay.
No, right. So, but again, so he's 28, I think, and he's this get married last year or this year. Well, last year, or in January. I think they're looking to have a family, etc. As you say, football career's a short one. Ralph, you can feel free to chip in. So he's probably looking for that nice wee nest egg, even to say. So if he goes in a Bosman to somewhere else, he's maybe guaranteed $2 million signing on fee. That's a nice wee bit. And then a Celtic going to lowball him by saying we're getting Tierney 35 grand a week, and I guarantee Celtic would also be doing and by the way, this ties in with something else. Well done to Scott Sinclair, who recently managed his 600th professional game the other week, so congratulations to him. But when Scott Sinclair came to Celtic, Scott Brown had to be the highest paid player. So Celtic had to pay Scott Sinclair extra bonuses, which were no deemed match his wages, like image rights and goals per game, etc. So they had to make up that wage in certain nice accountancy, let's say. And I guarantee Kieran Tierney will be the same. Celtic will be paying for his image rights to get him closer to the 50 grand rather than the 35 grand guaranteed. So if you're Greg Taylor, Ralph, are you not hoping for at least 25 grand a week? You're an international left back and you've never let the club down. Do you not deserve at least 25 grand a week?
I think he deserves more than that from Celtic, but he's not going to get it.
Yeah.
What you also need to remember is he'll be looking at what Tierney got at Arsenal, which was an awful lot of money. He'll be looking at what Van Dijk's getting at Liverpool, though it's not the same level. The contracts down there are phenomenal.
Even if he went to a Leeds or a Sunderland or a Middlesbrough, you're still probably doubling his wages getting this, especially if it's on a Bosman.
Don't forget that, like I said, the sign-on fee will be a couple of million quid as well. I remember somebody pointed out to me on Twitter that I'd always said that Tierney was on loan. Could this be the first time the diary gets something right?
How long have you been doing the diary now? The laws of averages say...
Look at the end of his contract. But we know why Tierney went away. It was for money. It was to sort his family out. It was the major surprise when he accepted the Everton one. And then when Arsenal came in 12 months later, he was away. And you can't blame him. As much as
£25 million we got, what was he getting? 70 or 80 grand a week. And then 5 years later, he comes back for free and he's 27. It's like, well, do you know what? It's like a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I'd like Taylor to stay because he's demonstrated, certainly domestically, he can step in 9 times out of 10, he's rock steady. We all know his issues. The issue is when we get into Europe against fast wingers at the higher level, he's not got that pace. We know that in the physicality, but he's a kind of steady player you can depend on. And apparently, and this is things that a lot of us don't see, but you hear the players and others talking about it. We don't see what happens in the training pitch Monday to Friday and everything else, but apparently he's one of the good guys. You know, him and Calmack and Forrest are the ones that create that positive atmosphere amongst the squad and the changing room. And I don't think you should underestimate the importance of having 2 or 3 players like that. I think they're vital to having a good squad mentality. So I'd like him to stay, but listen, if he goes, I think he goes with our best wishes.
I'll be gutted for one. But again, right, so I was going to say, so permutation-wise, start with you, Hector. Bally, Taylor, Tierney. Would you take all? Would you be happy if the club had all 3, or if you had to?
Too many.
Do you think?
Too many, because we've also got a boy out in loan in Austria, second season, the left back Anderson, who was the captain. We've mentioned him before as a left back, and apparently he's a very, very good player. So I think we've always got to have that space for potentially a boy like him. So this is the one who's been there, nobody's seen. This is a boy who's spent the last 2 seasons now out to the Austrian league to play football. So for me, Tierney, obviously, his levels above Greg Taylor, physically, pace, everything as a left back. That's just reality of it. But Bailly and Taylor's an interesting one. They're very different. They're very, very different. Oh, man. I think Bailly's 21, so he's probably got, 6-7 years on Taylor in terms of development and playing. He's probably the one that you'd want to maybe just keep, I think. Especially if Taylor's not signed a contract yet. He's made it clear, I think he's wanting to move on. Is that fair to say that, middle of January?
I think he's made it clear he's no... Well, again, right, put that to Ralph then. Ralph, I would say, being a big fan of Taylor, I would say clearly Taylor's no being given a contract he feels he deserves to consider, at least, because normally you would get somebody coming out and going, we have given him the last offer and he's decided to look elsewhere. Appears negotiations. Brendan's still talking, Ralph, about, well, hopefully we can get something done. That might just be talk. You know how these things, diplomacy. But Ralph, you're getting $5 million for Bernabe, which was a deal no one saw this time last year. You know what I mean? What do you do with the $5 million? Do they spend it on Tierney's wages?
To go back to Taylor, it might just be a case of he'll have offers on the table. His agent would have told him, look, you can go to Brentford or Fulham or whoever, and you'll get 50, 60 grand a week.
Could it be there, Ralph?
No, I don't think
he's not going to
I'm just pulling the names out there.
Right, okay.
So if somebody's going to pay him 60, 70 grand a week, he might just be saying, look, come on, Celtic, meet me halfway. But from Celtic's point of view, you've got Valle that's going to be there another 6 months. If we could get a hold of him, then we'll flip that boy for a lot of money. And Tierney will cover the waterfront domestically at least. So if you've got 3 left backs and you can pick 2 of them, we're in a good position, whatever way you look at it. And maybe sometimes we're not giving enough credit to the people that are doing these deals or putting these deals.
You've changed. You have changed. I remember the old Ralph. You'd be ranting at this point about that hopeless.
I'm just hoping
the cash
he's better than I think he is. That's all. I just remember the story 5 years ago when his hip was knackered and he went on the TV and he says, well, the thing is, Arsenal said take as long as you want before you start to play for us. But then he has played 30-odd game a season, and that's not bad going, I suppose.
People forget that.
I think we all know.
We know what games with it.
I think we all know we ran him into the ground. Let's be brutally honest. We had a fucking... We had a boy and we ran him into the ground, and that's the... So again, we've discussed this before, but Tierney coming back, I think, I'm with Hector, class act, get him in for a few years, and then we can bring Andy Robertson in to supplement him in a few years.
He's 30 now.
Aye, he'll be fine for this. He'll be fine for the Champions League for us. He can play centre half. It's basically the Celtic FC. Come when you're near the end of your days, this to fulfil that. I mean, we've done that a few times, to be fair, over the years. It worked all right for Adam Moy. But Tierney, get him, bring him in and do exactly what Martinez done with Sean Maloney. Give him a special training on your own, wrap you in bubble wrap style, and make sure you're protected as much as possible. Hopefully, even if they improve Lennoxtown, etc., that'll help the whole conditioning.
European games, Desi. European
exactly.
games. And the zombie games, that's it. There you go, Keir. 12 games a season, son. Off you go.
Oh, exactly. And again, if we do go with Bally, you can educate him. You can help him, so to speak. He'll speak Spanish after his Sociedad experience. That'll also help him, Rogers, and Bally can sit and speak
That's
Spanish.
optimistic.
So that'll be good. So, yeah, Taylor, I can see Taylor go to the MLS. Big wages in America. I could see him, and they've got an eye on Scottish football. So I could see Taylor. I couldn't see him getting an EPL club, maybe as a backup. You might be lucky, but I think you're looking at the Championship realistically. But again, there's big money in the Championship. So who knows? I mean? So we'll wait and see. So again, whatever happens. We'll find out towards the end of January, hopefully the next podcast. Sticking with players in, out, squad changes. Hector, good to see John Joe Kenny coming back and then doing enough to actually not only get into the squad in the weekend, but actually get on and did actually quite well, I thought.
He did. He bags of energy, didn't he? Loads of pace about him.
And there was
tall. He must be about 6 foot. He's
very direct.
Very direct. Obviously, he just came on the pitch and that ball dropped him, didn't it? 6 yards to go.
It bobbled.
It's stuck in his feet, so I'm not going to criticise him for that. He's just come on the pitch. So no, that was good. I watched it at Rogers' press conference just before our pod there today, because we're playing tomorrow. He was asked about Kenny, and he said he wasn't here when we signed Kenny, obviously Rogers, that is. But he said that the coaching staff are saying that he's physically more developed since he left. He's been away for over a season or so. He said, we're here for a week. Great attitude, very direct, as you were saying, and they'll make a decision on him regards next season, because he said he's got to keep developing. So I think what he's getting is he might put him out on loan again. But I think he'd seen enough. I think he'd said he quite liked, but you've got to play games with him. He'd mentioned Yang as well. This is the media asking questions, and he actually said he thought ultimately guys in attacking positions, it's about end product, isn't it? It's about either goals or setting up goals. And he says the players know in those positions the expectations. He goes, but what he said he's got a lot of positivity for him. He says he's one of those guys that he knows he's got to want his end product. He knows that. He goes, we have the conversations. He goes, but the guy's determined every single day he comes in to improve, works hard, gives his all. He goes, he couldn't. So that was good to hear, actually. It's good to hear wee snippets like that straight for the horse's mouth as well. But I think if Thingley's going away, Palmer's going away, and that looks odds on, there's another winger coming in.
I think he's done, isn't it?
There's definitely at least one coming in. There's one coming in, and there's strong links with that boy for Belgium we tried to get in the summer, isn't it? And the boy for Denmark, who's a forward. Is it what's his name? The guy for, was it Brøndby, whatever the fuck they're called. So I think there's one Gudjon definitely coming in. I think that's guaranteed. It's a stick on.
Yeah, the thing I was enjoying, it's pure strange, right? I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the old Scotch and Rye, it took me about 20 years to appreciate the greatest joke ever in Scotch and Rye, and it's where Ricky Fulton, the door goes and Ricky Fulton opens the door, and it's a woman at the door, and she goes, "Are you the man who saved my son from drowning in the river?" And Ricky Fulton kind of goes all proud and he goes, yes, I am. And the woman goes, "Where's his bonnet?" Right? Just the typical kind of Scottish response, never happy. And that was Celtic fans even at the weekend with Yang. I was going, thought Yang did very well at both ends of the park, always looking for the ball. And people, yeah, but he's no end product, or yeah, but he couldn't have scored. No, you're going, why is there always a but? Can you not just enjoy it for a wee second and just go, well done, son. You took it, you had a chance and you did well there.
But you've said this yourself, and let's be blunt, we've all done it. You said you've had a soft spot for Taylor, right? Mm-hmm. Because you get a bit annoyed at times. And I think I'm hopefully speaking rightly for you here. You're a bit annoyed at times. You feel that some of the criticism you got kind of annoys you a bit. And because of that, you kind of defend him a bit more. I think that's fair enough. We've all done it, right? I think with guys like Yang and guys like Ida, who are just, they're in and out. We all know you've got to maybe run 6, 7, 8 consecutive games to start to build how you play. When he'd come in last January, February, he got a run of games. And after about his third game, he got all these goals for us that were vital. So there's enough talent there. But I think Yang's the same. Your two white guys are playing that good that it's hard to get game time. And you unfortunately for him and it's Celtic, you're not going to get guaranteed starts. So what do you do? What do you do? It's that different. But I'm with you. I think they should just get off players' backs. The team's winning. Guys are giving their all. Rather than whinge about somebody, look at the positives, right? You know, no hiding. Always try to help out. Getting the penalty. Fuck me, McFadden said it wasn't a penalty. No hiding. I love a player that doesn't hide. You know what I mean by that?
Exactly.
The guy loses confidence and they don't want the ball. They position themselves behind another player. Opponent player so they can't get a pass.
We call it the Lewis Palmer condition.
Aye, but you know what I mean? You get guys who just hide. And I love the fact that even guys that are not their best, are struggling with like Yang and Ida, they don't hide. You know what I mean? They're always wanting to go on the ball and they keep fucking. I'll always take the back of guys like that who always give everything and always look to get on the ball. For me, I think Palmer's different. I think Palmer's just confidence is completely shot. It's probably better for him just to move on. I think.
Yeah, so I think he's away to Rayo Vallecano. Speaking of players away, Ralph, Stephen Welsh away to Mechelen.
Yeah, debut last night.
Yeah, they beat 1-0, I think. But very best of luck. There's a guy who never let us down, Ralph. Did his best, never complained, just turned up when he was asked to turn up. So the very best of luck to Stephen Welsh.
Says instead of going out and getting a replacement, Dane Murray has come back for
Queen's Park. He was at, I think.
Yeah, he's come back. He'll slot into that place, and he'll learn from his time away. That an interesting point Hector made about going out on loan, especially to Ireland. Johnny Kenny was the first Celtic player to score in Europe this season. I'm pretty sure he played in a couple of friendlies last season, and they're talking about his debut, and he did all right and everything else. But is he not the top scorer in the Conference League, or joint top scorer with Shamrock Rovers?
Yeah, he scored a good few, didn't he? So again, I heard a wee bit of coverage of the Aberdeen Hearts game yesterday, and Wally Miller was basically saying Aberdeen are trying out for goals. I worked with a guy who plays with supports Kilmarnock. He said they've lost Big Bissell, etc. So there is opportunities for Joe Kenny even to go into like an SPFL team. Work with Ayer at Kilmarnock, that sort of thing. That'd be quite good if he went to one of Rangers' his big rivals, say Aberdeen or Dundee United.
Fully agree with you. I think that would work a treat for him. I was a wee bit no disappointed. Delighted Kenny was making an impression so quickly. But Daniel Cummings was also on the bench, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And you know, I've been kind of for the last maybe 18 months or so just keeping a close eye because we'd won there were 17s or something. Was it the Scottish Youth Cup final? They beat Rangers, something ridiculous like 5-4 or 6-4 at Hampden 18 months ago, and he stood out like a sore thumb. Big, powerful striker with pace, good in his left, good in his right, good in the air. I thought, he looks a player, and he's battered in over 20 goals this season, including in the kind of Youth Champions League. So he's on the bench. He's out of contract in 6 months' time, and which is a worry.
Yeah.
But I'd love us to get him signed and maybe just loan him out to a Hibs or a Dundee or something, because I think he looks, what I've seen, looked as if there's a good bit of potential there in him. Yeah,
Sunderland and Burnley are already sniffing around. Celtic could bank between 230 and 330,000 in compensation for Cummings, who already has 5 goals in 5 games in the UEFA Youth League. I mean, again, as you say, so surely you'd think you can say, right, we've invested so much already, try and find that. Again, Darnody, he's meant to be the pathway manager now, actually, for play. But we're meant to have an actual direction to actually make this work. So surely we can actually start to see some attempts. So if you've got a player like Cummings who's scoring goals for fun, surely we should be able to. But we're saying that. And Ralph, we're saying that, but then you've got the external, your Sunderland come along going, hi Daniel, we're aware Celtic are offering you 5,000 in the first year, going up to 8,000 in the second year. We're willing to pay you 18,000 in the first year, going up to 25,000 in the second year. Yep. I mean, the economies of scale don't really balance it.
it's not just that. If you look at Ben Doak, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Ben.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ben Doak.
Liverpool are ready to listen to offers from this month, and they're talking about £20 million. Now they're not going to get that for him, but that boy's going to make an awful lot of money if he moves again. And Daniel Cummings must have come up in the same kind of class, if that's the right word. The same year of development. And he'll see what's happening there, and so will other players, like Francis Turley. There's a couple of 3 others in that particular group. With Cummings, it's kind of strange. I can't think of anybody else that was getting talk amongst supporters, or at least talk amongst guys like us, since Charlie Nicholas. You know, when he was kind of making a name for himself in the reserves. And he went on to do quite well when he got into the first team. Adam Eder is maybe suffering a wee bit lack of confidence just now. They brought back Johnny Kenny. Maybe it's a development pathway, as you say, that Cummings will get signed up if he wants to stay and go out to Ireland or go to another team in the Premier League in Scotland. But we really need to keep an eye on this because with the European regulations being what they are, and so many players have to be homegrown, whatever. Once we lose, McGregor, he's getting on a wee bit, and Forrest is certainly getting on a wee bit, and Taylor might be away, we're going to struggle a wee bit. So,
especially with your own. See when you bring them through your own academy, and also when they're big Celtic fans, the families are Celtic. That's that's the dream. We grew up with that. Our generation grew up with that. You mentioned Charlie Nicholas there, but all the players that came through, the Paul McStays and all that, were all guys that came through the Celtic youth system at the time, and we could all relate to Big Roy and all these guys. But you don't get many new. Kieran Tierney's probably the last one. He's probably the last one that came through the academy as a Celtic fan. What's that?
Luke McCowan obviously never come through the Celtic ranks,
but obviously he's come through the academy. So Daniel Cummings is the whole family of Celtic daft. You think, boy's got talent. He's clearly knocking it in, not just at our level, but in the European level against the best of his age group in Europe. Come on, what's the hold up here? You know, is it purely money? Desi, your point, is it Celtic have a constraint to say we won't go above £3,000 for an 18-year-old or $5,000?
Yeah.
And all these agents are circling like sharks, going, as you say, if it's Burnley or if it's Sunderland, we'll give you $15,000 year one. I mean, it's like, how do you cope with that? How do you compete with that? I don't know how you can.
Okay, right. So we'll say we don't know. So we'll wait and see what happens. Hopefully, Daniel Cummings can't. And again, we've seen it. We've seen it. This is what annoys me: the fact that you mentioned there, Hector. He was on the bench at the weekend. So you're promoted to being in the first team universe. So there you go. You've made it. You've just got to break through now. So that's great. But we've seen it the last maybe 4 starlets. They get maybe 1 or 2 sub appearances and then disappear. I mean, like they just disappear altogether out the team. And that's it. And again, thing was scored. Rocco Vata scored a wonder goal the other day for Watford against Fulham.
Peach for it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So these sort of things, it happens all the time. We just don't seem to be able to have the full 18-month plan which gets executed. It just seems to be harum scarum. Fingers crossed it does, but we'll leave that for now and we'll move on. Right, so I'm just a wee bit over time. I did have a quiz. I did have a New Year's quiz to welcome in, right? So it was based on, in fact, I'll get 2 questions each for you, right? 2 questions each, right? So this is a special quiz. You may spot a theme in this quiz as we move along, right? Ralph, do you want to go first or second?
First.
Okay, Ralph, question number 1. You're a man of culture. You'll like this one, Ralph. What age in 2025 links Celtic fan Gerard Butler, Mariah Carey and Jennifer Aniston?
Did I come into the wrong podcast or something?
Yes, Celtic fan Gerard Butler. What age is Gerard Butler in 2025? Take a guess.
58.
No, I'll move on. Hector, your question. I will not get your answers till the end. You may notice a trend. Hector, which Blackadder actor was born? This Blackadder actor was born the same year the first advert was shown on telly. I'll give you a point for each. Which year was the first advert shown on telly, Hector? And what was the Blackadder actor who was born then? Which year do you think?
Which year was the first advert shown on telly?
Yes.
Here's a clue. Was it Signal toothpaste?
Yeah, correct. Well done, Ralph. It was toothpaste.
Was it 1955, Desi?
Oh, sensational! Oh,
Year.
wonderful, wonderful, Hector, wonderful. Can you guess the Blackadder actor who was born in 1955?
Ron Atkinson.
Ron Atkinson.
Well done, well done. So, Ralph, let me go back to you. What age do you think?
Can I choose two instead of one?
What age do you think Gerard Butler, Mariah Carey, and Jennifer Aniston are this year?
Hey.
Can I answer this?
55. Wait now. 55.
Correct,
55.
Ralph. Fuck, you were listening. Right, so okay. So, Ralph, next one for you. A science question. Albert Einstein died, and the Scotsman who discovered penicillin died. Which Scotsman and in which year did they die?
It'll be Fleming.
Yes.
1955.
Oh, that's stunning. Well done, well done.
University challenge, well done.
Well done. This is uncanny. He's knocking them at the park. Right, Hector, we've got a wee twist on this one for you. This is a bit tough, I'm afraid, right? In 1955, right? Sorry, you were cursed to get the tough one.
Ralph,
In 1955,
man.
And if anyone from the Celtic walking tours, you maybe get this, Matt maybe get this. Right, 1955, Hector, you were but a young boy. Celtic came second in the league and the Scottish Cup. Can you guess who won the league in 1955 and who won the cup?
55. Was it Hibs?
For what one?
The league?
No.
Because they never won the cup 100 years, didn't they? The other
Correct,
year,
well done, well done. I like your logic there, very good.
And the cup was it Kilmarnock, one of them?
No, that's a guess. Very good guess. They were a strong team back then. Ralph, any guesses who won the league in 1955 and who won the cup in 1955?
Was it Hearts?
For what one?
One of them.
What one?
Did Hearts win the league in 55?
This is to win the title, Ralph. This is to win the cup. What are you going for?
I think they might have won the league.
Okay, what part of this is to win the cup?
Was it
Did
Rangers?
you not get there, Ralph?
Rangers?
I couldn't have made it any plainer. This is to win the cup.
I don't know. If I could just think of a connection between 55 and one of the clubs in Scotland.
I know, we've all had 55 in our mind, but Hearts won the cup in 1955. Last guess, Hector, who do you think who won the league?
Rangers.
No, I wouldn't have had. Who wouldn't have? Last guess, Ralph?
Wouldn't it be a guess? Let me think. Hibs were strong.
It wasn't Dunfermline.
Wasn't it Celtic?
No, Celtic came second.
Dundee.
No. This is all the listeners are screaming. The four listeners are screaming at the radio.
Right, just across from me is a book about the Combination Cup, which is a fantastic read, by the way.
Right, thanks.
Aberdeen.
This was meant to be a 50. What did you say?
Aberdeen.
Correct. Well done, Ralph. You have taken the first ever 55 quiz. Well done. You have won the 55 quiz. Congratulations to Ralph there. And the reason, of course, Hector, we're having a 55 quiz is the sensational Union Bears walkout yesterday. The biggest anti-fucking climax you've ever seen in your life. Look at me. If people can't see this, but Hector's just shaking his head in one of those mournful, what the fuck were they thinking modes.
The thing about it, right, and we're all shaking our head because of what happened, how silly it looked, and what it's causing in terms of their infighting amongst the supporters. Because the one obvious thing that we did when we were fucking shit way back in the day was a lot of fans didn't turn up. But by all accounts, a lot of their fans didn't shit turn up yesterday. But we had the songs like Sack the Board going around the stadium, in unison. Sack the board, sack the board. They couldn't even do that as a supporters group. So they're wanting change, but they're not quite sure what change they're wanting. We want him out, we want him. There's no this joined up approach. Instead, what happens is it's half-hearted. They end up walking out their wee group the supporters on the ground end up booing them and telling them to get to fuck. So they end up having a big infighting. And there's a video footage showing you the camera goes to the board, the board, Rangers board, and there's a woman.
The blonde-haired woman.
Cheerio.
Oh no! But the best one, Ralph. I don't know if you saw it. There's a clip, and it's a minute long, and it's basically. I don't know if it's don't know if it's towards the St Johnstone end or whatever. But it's dead low. It just starts dead low. Boo, and it gradually gets better, and then gradually the full crescendo of boo, and you just hear a Rangers fan shouting, Follow, you cunts. And it's a fucking, it's the sheer bear on bear hatred. Not why you just, glorious.
It's you kind of feel sorry for them, but you don't want to because they deserve everything they get. Right? They, back in 2012, they thought that everybody was against them. Everybody's out to stop them. No, you did it to yourselves. And they still can't realise that. And the media sort of thought, well, wait now, we need this Rangers back here. So what we'll do is we'll pretend it never happened. And now we're further down the line. And they're after getting rid of a board that has put some in the region of £170 million of their own money to keep that club alive. And the supporters say, no, we should be doing better than this. We should be back where we were. We should be dominating. They haven't dominated football for the last 60, 70 years, if you don't count when they cheated.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had taken their medicine and started off at the bottom as a new club and accepted they were a new club, like I think we would have done. I think if back in 94, when the Kellys and the Whites made an arse of it, if McCann hadn't come in and saved us, we would have accepted being a new club.
I think so, Ralph.
I'd be at Glen Cairn.
I would have, I think. Because what we'd have checked out, don't get me wrong. I think we'd have accepted, right, what we were is what we were. This is what we are now. We need to do it again. We need to accept what's happened. It wasn't our fault. But we can move on, we can build something new, we can come back from the dead without any pretense. It's all the same thing. And yet they wouldn't. They refuse to do that. They've a sense of entitlement that runs through them. It's kind of heartbreaking, but, well, it's no breaking.
No, you're right. They're right. Like, I'm just getting the image in my head of your earnest, younger, or fresher Rangers fan, as you say, try to move forward. But somewhere like there's this ghostly hand dragging onto their kind of heel. No, that way you refusing to let them move on. No, you can't move on. You have to stick back here with your the brown brogues and the blue suits and be turning up smart and that military pish and it's ridiculous.
They're so subservient, aren't they? They're so subservient, aren't they? That's the thing, isn't it? And they laugh about how other clubs are, and yet they still sing God Save the King and, you know, loyal and faithful to the crown, and they know their place in the pecking order. And that's part of their problem, is that you've probably got a lot of the more older ones, if you like, the fans who are, we're Rangers, we do this way, this is how, all the pish, you all laugh at them. And you've now got the younger generation coming through going, rightly or wrong, they're going to go, no, this is shite. And you can see this different clashes of almost a culture within them where they're going, we sing the same shite songs, right? That should be fucking have the stadium shut down. But that's not the point. The point is we need rid of them. We're younger. We're going to get in the front foot and get rid of them. And majority of the ones over maybe 30 or 35 going, no. We're Rangers. We're staunch. We do it this way. And it's like, could they make it up, really? Could you?
It's kind of it's like an identity crisis. They know who they want to be. They know who they think or who they should be. But realistically, when they sit down and look at it, they're not anything like.
Exactly, Ralph. That's exactly. They're men and women at a time. I mean, like, and again, it'd be good if Monty was on, because he could give the Northern Ireland comparison in perspective, because he sees this with the whole Sinn Féin and Ulster Unionists. They're totally lost now. No, they believed they were top of the pile and the exact same mentality of Rangers fans. They believe they were top of the pile, but now they don't realise the pile's fucked off and moved 100 miles. Oh, I mean, like the pile's no, like they're sitting in an imaginary conquest which doesn't exist anymore. Everybody else has moved on. Even Aberdeen are starting to throw money, buying players, etc. Good chance Aberdeen will spend more money in this window than Rangers will, because Aberdeen have do get a
and
solid.
You're right, Desi. Sinn Féin's in the background laughing with the power. All the mad cunts are fighting each other, and the Shinners are in charge. And it's a bit like here, they still hark back to years gone by where we run the show now. We've got ourselves in order. We're not going to win it for eternity. That's just life. But the way things are going now, we're going to win it far more than we don't win it over the next 10, 15, 20 years, right? Because financial fair play, even that's come in now. So they can't get Elon Musk.
Good luck, Lana will.
That lassie with the blonde hair. She says
we know you're talking about fucking. We know you're talking about. We can't mention that in this show, right? But even Donald Trump, they're sending messages to Donald Trump, please buy Rangers or Musk, and you're going. Even if they couldn't. Yeah, they've £100 million to spend in the team. You've got financial. So what I'm getting is, you've got the younger group who have seen little to no success other than the COVID season when they couldn't go and see their team, right? Who are going, no, this isn't good enough. And anybody who's older going, no, we're Rangers. And tradition is that, you're right, Desi, we wear the brown brogues. You know, we stiff up our lip, we follow. And you can see that it was only a matter of time till this happened, wasn't it? If you think about it, till this clash happened. And this might be the start of this happening for quite some time, which would be fun in games, eh?
Well, this is it. Since 2004-5, Rangers have won the league 5 times. Right?
Oh, well done.
Celtic have won it every time since. And I mean, it's ridiculous when you think about it. Like their idea of superior. So that's 20 years. We're not talking about 5 or 6 years. Like time for we remember the shitey times and all that. But that's 20 years ago. So you imagine that's 2 generations of Rangers fans, really. You think about it, 20 years, all these young Waynes getting exposed to, and then having to suffer 10 year, then 20 year. And it didn't seem as long as Celtic keep doing what they're doing, board-wise, give them their due, keep ticking over, keep getting players in for 2 to 5 million and turn them in for 10 to 20 million. It's not going to change, is it? Apparently the latest plan is for Clement to turn round players within 2 years now. He's not going to get 2 years. So they're basically just hanging the guy out to dry.
But where this is important for us, right, and this is why the reality is in Scotland is there's only one team. I know Aberdeen started the season exceptionally well, but since then it's been an incredible fall off the cliff for them since then, right? But there is only one other team who could really beat us to the league if they got their act together, right? It's them. So the longer they're in turmoil and fighting, the easier it makes it for us to keep winning. And not just winning domestically, ideally getting the chance to get to the Champions League with the 40, 50, 60 million pound to keep increasing that buffer between us. So while we're Celtic all the way, we've always got to keep our eye on what's happening across the city, because it can help to shape us for the next 5, 10 years plus. Moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. So
back in the 80s, you had Aberdeen, you had Dundee United, you had Hearts as well. They put up a challenge. But because of the money these days, because of the money that Celtic are getting in, there's no chance of that happening again. I would love to see a challenge for the North or even from Edinburgh. But realistically, it's going to be difficult to see where it can come from unless there's a change in youth policy and investment. But that's a debate for a different day.
Never happened. Given our TV monies, etc., there's just no any room for investment, I don't think. But anyway, Celtic are going for 55 this year. Hopefully it's almost bang on guaranteed. We may even be able to beat them at Celtic Park in, is it March? And that could theoretically actually claim the league if everything goes too well. But here's a quick quiz. I'm just while I was looking up the league since 20 years ago, it's got a list of league winners, Scottish league winners. Do you want to have a quick guess of teams. I'll give you Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Dundee United. Who else do you think's won the league?
Since when?
Whatever.
Forever. Or listed here. No. I think they won
Dundee-
it. I think they won
Dundee
the cups, Ralph. I think Queen's Park won all the cups.
Dundee won the league.
Dundee, well done. Anybody else?
Kilmarnock won a league. I know Kilmarnock
Come on,
won a
yeah,
league.
well done. Yep, Dundee,
Hibs in the
Kilmarnock.
50s were good. Hibs were good in the 50s.
Hibs won the league, well done. Four times.
Surely a Renton or a Dumbarton or somebody must have won it.
Well done, Ralph. Dumbarton won it twice. Well done. So we've got Rangers 55, Celtic 54, Aberdeen 4, Hearts won it 4 times, to be fair. Hibs 4, Dumbarton 2, because that was the famous, they drew one with Rangers, remember? So Rangers didn't actually win the league that year.
Yeah.
They drew the league. Dundee United 1, Kilmarnock 1, Dundee 1, and another 2 teams. Any idea?
Is it way back 1800s or some shit?
No, I don't know when. It didn't tell me when, but one is a team that we have played.
Cowlairs.
Who?
Cowlairs.
No. You know them. You know both these teams. We beat this team 4-0 recently.
St Johnstone's.
No.
Motherwell.
Motherwell, well done. And one's a team that's very good, probably the closest. Hampden would be closest to me. The second closest football ground to me.
Jesus.
Lanark.
Well done, Hector. You're back in the game. Third Lanark won a league. So there you go. Right. So that leaves us where we are at the moment. We'll see what happens with the transfer window. Big game coming up. Wary of time here. Big game coming up. Young Boys. Hector, do you feel we're in a happy place? Kuhn's back training. I think Maeda, Brendan says he's going to give him another day or so. So chances are he'll be rested for tomorrow.
Well, we've got Dundee tomorrow and we'll get Kilmarnock the Scottish Cup Saturday, haven't we?
Yeah,
so we'll play Young
good
Boys.
game,
So what I would be doing, right, and I do appreciate that if Celtic
Brendan does listen in. Does listen in to your tactics.
What I would do, because I don't give a fuck, as you know, Desi, right? But what I would do is, we're so far ahead in the league, all my thoughts is geared towards having our strongest 11 ready to play Young Boys next week, right? So Dundee tomorrow night, any doubt, any player, you're no playing at Dens Park tomorrow night. The cup game against Kilmarnock is slightly different because we're at home in the cup. You want to win the cup, but I'd be resting whoever we need to rest tomorrow night to get everybody ready for Saturday, but more importantly next Tuesday. That's what I'd be doing.
So, would you be happy with a wee 1 each draw tomorrow night then?
Obviously, I want to win every game, but I'd accept that. See if it meant resting 5-6 players and giving guys a start who don't like it. I would absolutely do that tomorrow night, 100%.
Yeah, I'm a bit like myself. Actually, Ross County, I thought there was a good chance of maybe drawing up there, and again, I didn't think people would be that bothered, but class told in the end. Ralph, do you think there's a chance of that happening tomorrow? Dundee actually did deserve to beat Rangers last week. I know that's not much of a measure, but they got a penalty disallowed and they got a goal disallowed.
They're not a bad side, Dundee, but we can afford maybe not to win that one. I would put your man Daniel Cummings on the bench. I would bring him on during the game, give him a taste of it, because it'll not be an easy game. If we win that one, we win that one. If we don't, we don't. You know me, I'm big on the you can't have a treble without a cup, and one bad game means you're not getting a treble. So I would maybe put your Maeda. And Kuhn get a nasty injury against Rangers, didn't he? And he's not really played since then. So I would maybe leave him out, but give Yang that run of games that he's needing. The boy tries, and he doesn't hide, like you say. So Yang, Maeda, if he's fit. If he's not fit, then go with Kyogo and Ida again. Get the two of them running. But it's a game we can't afford to lose. But ultimately, it's all about beating Young Boys. Oh, did I say that in those words?
Mm-hmm. So are we confident?
That's what it's all about.
For beating Young Boys. Let me just. Right. So again, we're talking about the fixtures. It's the 13th of January, and Celtic have played 6 games since Christmas. You know what I mean? So that'll be 8 games before we face them. So Young Boys will have 1 game, I believe, Ralph, since Christmas.
I think we talked about that in the last podcast. Between the 2 European games, the last one we played and the next one against them, they played 2 games. We played 10.
Yeah.
And that's not the ideal situation, but we need to be gearing up for that game. We need to get this done and dusted and get through to the knockouts so that we can concentrate on that when it comes around in March. I'm not confident. I'm not confident because of the complacency against Bruges, because the lines between defence and midfield are just maybe that too far apart. We weren't moving at a pace. We weren't doing what we can do. But then again, are we gearing up for that? Because you have to say that Rodgers, in the 2 years he's been back, has kind of geared us towards a mature European performance, which we've done. You know, we're in a position where 1 win out of 2 will get us through.
That'll be one thing that I think is something that's a significant difference for us since pre-Christmas. I think Engels has been playing outstanding the last few games. And the game at Ibrox, he didn't start. Remember, he had some sort of virus in the last 10 minutes, was it? But he's been absolutely outstanding. And what I mean by that, he's driving into positions, right, left, centre, first time layoff, digs at goal, he's crossing, the pace and power, he's crossing, precision of it. But to me, he looks as if he's just, we're starting to see the player, why we bought a player at such a big transfer fee for us.
And consistently see him.
Honestly,
yeah.
I think him against Young Boys, he might be him and Kuhn. I think they've built such a good relationship down that I can see those two being the game changer. So yeah, I think we'll beat Young Boys, because I think when my mind's focused on it, and this is the game, they're only human. The players and manager are only human. They've had this game circled for quite some time, right? And they might say it's one game at a time. Absolutely, the usual tick in the box exercise. We know that. However, let's not kid on. This is the game they've been circled for quite some time, and I think we'll beat them next week.
Yeah, I'm just like so. Young boys have played a couple of friendlies against Romanian, Bulgarian teams over January 7th of January. They beat 4-1 against Sepsi. Then Hanover 96 beat them 2-1, and then Ludogorets beat them 1-0. And then I've got a few games, BLBN and then Winter Tour before they face us. So I've got 2 games at home to warm up before they face us on Wednesday 22nd. But I think, again, I think if we're this professional, a nice wee tidy 2-0, everyone's happy.
I don't care if it's 1-0 at the end of the game that comes off somebody's arse.
But again, just get it out of the way, nice and professional, job done, everybody indoors, prepare for the next one. And then some of us can head to Birmingham and have a nice couple of days in sunny Birmingham.
In Birmingham?
Yes. Yes.
How can you have a nice day in Birmingham?
I was telling I'm going with my daughter. I was telling my daughter where the train stops in Dudley, and I used to go to Dudley for my holidays in the summer. So I was saying to her we could maybe even just pop into Dudley to see my old mother's auntie if she wants. I used to go there every year. Wolverhampton and Dudley. Tipton and Dudley I used to go to every year. So it's a home from home for me. Tipton, yeah, the good old days.
When was the last time you went there?
Oh, that'd have been maybe the early 80s, late 70s. My cousin's boyfriend was best pals with Lenny Henry. That shows you how long ago it was back in the day. That was way back when, the good old days.
Tipton and Dudley.
So that was it. So I had a good old. So that's us. So thank you very much, folks, for of course listening. Please like and subscribe, and thank you to anyone who has subscribed recently. We managed to get the YouTube link sorted, and quite a few folk have resubscribed. So thank you very much for that. Please like, subscribe. Please send us your comments. Please go to Ralph's Diary at etims.net and leave. There's always a comment section there. We welcome any feedback, positive or negative. Always good to hear from you. We do hope to have our celebrity Celt of the Year, Robert Hodgson's, aka Bobby Bluebell. Hopefully get a podcast with him over the next week or so before the big Barrowlands gig for the Bluebells in February the 1st. So hopefully we'll get that sorted, and then we can get some post-European group stage podcast set up towards the end of the month. All right, folks, so it's just left for me, Desmond, to say thank you to Ralph. Thank you, Ralph.
Cheers. Captain,
Thank you.
really.
Thank you. And thank you to Hector Bandido. Thank you, Hector.
Thanks, Desi. You've left this horrible thought, though, that you were saying you spent a lot of time inside Dudley. And that horrible comment will say thank you, good night.
That's just your East End mind. That's probably your East End junkie mind once again. You know what I mean? Yes. So, so just as always, a final word from our sponsor, and then we'll just leave you with a special song for our friends who were enjoying the exit on the 55th minute the other day over at Ibrox. All right, folks, my name's Desmond. Good night.
Big Tam's Gallowgate Emporium. Proud sponsors of the E-Tims Podcast 2025. Are you suffering from cold feet, having walked out of Ibrox at the weekend? Just quote the code 25 for a 25% discount on all bear attack prevention spray and your Bilstruth Brown Brogue style Tootsie Warmers. Big Tams. We are with you until the end. Unlike the Union Bears at the Emptihad.